This girl was helping her best friend who was drunk home, but suddenly tripped and fell. Her friend suddenly stood up and ran like crazy. This girl chased right behind. When caught up, she saw her friend was vomiting on a car. The moment she saw the car logo, she froze for a moment. She slowly looked towards the man next to her, then bent down to apologize. She promised to compensate him, but the man indifferently said it was okay. In any case, it was nothing bad. The girl did not expect that there were such good people in the world. But when she took her friend to leave, this friend suddenly pushed her away. At this moment, the man pulled her back, but instinctively, she touched the man's chest. The man vomited a red pearl from his mouth, and it accidentally fell into the girl's mouth. Not knowing, was it because of the strange taste, the girl immediately fainted. When woke up, she felt that this place was a bit strange. The man held his chin and looked at her intently. The girl who was looked at by him was a little embarrassed, asked why I was here. The man said he saw her unable to wake up, so he took her back because he wanted to get something back. She had swallowed the pearl that he had cultivated for more than 900 years. Girl didn't understand and asked if that pearl was an antique. He said that I was a fox. The girl slowly backed away. She wondered why she was so unlucky to meet a psychopath. She was just about to take her cell phone to call a nine-tailed fox appeared in front of her. This image directly scared the girl into fainting. When she woke up again, she saw that familiar face. She was extremely scared. The fox knew that she would definitely be very scared, so he said, I would go and pour you a cup of tea. Only then did she calm down. She still knew that this was entering the nine-tailed fox's den. The nine-tailed fox asked her if she wanted some sugar, but he couldn't see her figure anymore. Thought that after escaping from the fox she would be okay, but she didn't expect that the fat friend who had just teased her a little, and when he touched her, her whole body immediately began to soften. The fat boy didn't understand. He clearly didn't use force. He originally wanted to help her up, but from somewhere, an electric current swept through her body. The fox side also seemed to sense. As expected, the girl had to take the initiative to find him. She asked if her discomfort was related to that pearl. The fox told her that there was no problem with the pearl. It's just that she can't come into contact with men born in the year of the tiger, because tigers and foxes are sworn enemies. If she touches a man born in the year of the tiger, it will conflict with the jade fox inside her. The girl asked, do I need to take painkillers when I'm in pain? The fox slowly reached out and told that as long as I made contact, the pain would disappear. Indeed, the girl's mood was much better, but strangely, the pearl, the red color that had been red for over 900 years, suddenly turned blue. She wanted to go to the hospital to have it cut open and take it out to give it back to him, but the fox said there was basically nothing in her stomach because it was already in the pelvis position. The girl doesn't know what to do. The fox said that now they can only live together, even though the first time they met was very strange. This gem is very important to him because to get rid of the jade fox in her body can only live with the fox to think together. To keep herself alive at night, she carried her suitcase and asked the store owner if there was an electric baton. Then the shop owner took out an electric baton and even demonstrated its effects. As soon as the girl saw that, she was extremely satisfied. When she learned that this cost 12,001, she immediately froze. The shop owner knew the price was so high that she took out a mini spray bottle and said that the effectiveness of this was unbeatable and it was only 7,001. As soon as the girl heard that, she immediately said that this is all it takes. But right at this moment on TV showed the recent missing cases. Just looking at it made me feel a little scared. The boss kept reminding me that these guys probably wanted to take their organs. As soon as the girl heard that, she stammered. She said she wanted to take the electric baton just now. Actually, she bought these things not to deal with people, but to deal with foxes that are more than 900 years old. Late at night, she reluctantly brought her luggage into the house of the fox. While the fox was upstairs observing her, he was curious why red jade changed color after 900 years. The girl pulled her luggage slowly into the yard. Looking into the eyes of the nine-tailed fox in the house made her couldn't help but feel scared. She silently cursed his 18 generations of ancestors, but suddenly the fox appeared in front of her and then helped her carry her luggage. The girl consoled herself and walked in. Arriving in the house, the fox helped her arrange the room. Just as she was about to hide in the room, the fox called her back. After all, this was the first time they met. He still didn't know her name. She introduced her name is Lee Dam. After saying that, she immediately wanted to go back to her room, but she was not careful and dropped the pepper spray. Lee Dam quickly said it was a gift for him. She also said she was in a hurry and didn't have time to pack it. I hope you will like it. The fox pretended to try it. It was indeed a good gift. Lee Dam was lying on the bed without a defense weapon. She was extremely nervous. She secretly thought that she definitely wouldn't be able to sleep tonight, but didn't expect that she would sleep until morning. She also didn't expect that the fox would prepare a refrigerator with many food for her, and in order to make it up to her, the fox agreed, helped her pay for all her study expenses. When received the reward, she was extremely happy. He completely forgot about her current situation. A man who had lived for more than 900 years lived with a girl for the first time. The next second, he turned into an old man and said to this girl, I have to use this identity to go on a business trip to France for 2 days. If you feel uncomfortable, call me. Lee Dam immediately waved his hand, said she had no discomfort at all. She told him to rest assured and go on business. But at night, she was called out by her friends, but she knew clearly that she would no longer be the same. If she were to encounter people born in the year of the tiger, wouldn't be okay, so she had to leave quickly. Suddenly, the phone in her hand fell and was picked up by someone else, but the other person had a provocative mentality. Lee Dam immediately took it seriously. I continued to pick up the phone and leave, but the next second, the man took the initiative to hug her, and this station made Lee Dam's stomach immediately ache. It was clear that this man was born in the year of the tiger, but she was in so much pain that she couldn't say anything. The man thought that she would accept to go with him, so he took her away. Quickly walking to an alley, Lee Dam's face became increasingly ugly. The man comforting her in front had a hotel. Wait a little longer, he will help her wake up, but now she has no strength left. She really hopes someone can save her. At this moment, Lee Dam felt extremely helpless. The next second, he appeared in front of Lee Dam. He hugged Lee Dam and wanted to take her away, but was stopped by the man. Clearly, he did not know that the man in front of him was a 900-year-old fox. He was immediately slapped by the fox and flew 10 meters away. After this incident, the distance between the two people seemed a little closer. Lee Dam knew he did it to protect the fox gem in her body, so she curiously asked him if that fox gem could be taken out. The fox told her that humans cannot withstand the fox Jade for a long time, at most only a year. Lee Dam asked what if she couldn't get it out. The fox stopped and told her that she would die. Knowing how long she would live, she decided to eat delicious food that she had never eaten before. At this time, the fox at home looked at the time. It was 11 o'clock at night. He was a little worried about Lee Dam. He didn't know that at this time, Lee Dam had eaten and drank too much. But because she was drunk, she couldn't walk steadily, so she fell. When she wanted to stand up, she suddenly saw a red pearl in front of her. She vomited the pearl. At this moment, Aha ran home as fast as she could, with a serious face repeating what she had just done. Then she held out her hand and said, "I won't die." The fox glanced, then looked at Lee Dam and asked her why she was holding the candy. The look on Lee's face was Dan. Dam was disappointed. Suddenly the fox saw that something was wrong with Lee Dam. She was about to vomit, but according to her vision, could it be that she intended to use that antique vase as a place to vomit? Indeed, the next second, Lee Dam immediately rushed towards the pile of antiques. The fox waved his hand, and the antiques immediately flew up. Seeing that she wanted to rush into other things, but obviously she failed again, the fox immediately opened the bathroom door for her. That made Lee Dam calm down. Looking at the pile of antiques floating in the fox house, he couldn't help but sigh. At this time, Lee Dam also just stray. She could have resigned herself to her fate, but as soon as she arrived at school, she discovered a bunch of older boys appearing in front of her. Her mind immediately went into chaos, quickly walked past those boys. Right when she was breathing a sigh of relief, a group of people rushed towards the cafeteria and bumped into her. But luckily, someone caught her. Lee Dam curiously asked him if he was 1 grade above her. Isn't he the age of the tiger? The senior told her that his birthday was early, so he was the year of a cat. Lee Dam immediately said very lucky, when he born in the year of cats. The senior heard that he were extremely embarrassed. This path was not easy. Lee Dam knew that if her life was not long, she could not let herself live in pain, but suddenly someone called her. Lee Dam quickly realized that this was the school's hot boy, also her senior, the year of the tiger, but the senior only reminded her that she had dropped her shirt, and he even helped her pick it up. Lee Dam saw him walking closer to her and was so scared she couldn't speak. She immediately told him to put the shirt on the ground. Then, Lee Dam carefully bent down to get it. She was afraid of what he would do to her when she picked it up. When put on shirt, she say thank you then run away. The male student stood dumbfounded and couldn't believe his eyes. Not only was he a rich man, but he was also recognized as the school's hot boy. Everywhere he went, girls welcomed him. But why did that girl avoiding him was like avoiding evil? This inevitably made him interested in this strange girl, knowing that the other person was a fox. Lee Dam began to negotiate with him. If he can't take out his fox Jade temporarily, then he was obliged to keep her safe at all times, is also to keep the fox Jade safe. Moreover, he can't show her a cold face. It makes her always in a bad mood. Just like that, the two people reached an agreement. Lee Dam thought he had made a good deal, but did not know that the fox's nature is cunning. Indeed, the next day he went to his 900-year-old fox friend and told her about the human girl after swallowing his jade. The 900-year-old red jade turned blue. As soon as his friend heard it, she said this was a good thing, but the fox replied that he couldn't love a young girl. He can't make things turn into a tragedy like 600 years ago. Since Lee Dam swallowed the fox pearl, her whole body has always been in a state of tension. She just found out that she was seen by a hot boy from school not far away. Lee Dam didn't want to eat, so she said goodbye to her friends. As she stood up to prepare to go, she was stopped by a hot boy. Lee Dam's first reaction was not to touch people born in the year of the tiger, so she told him to give her way. The hot boy asked her again if we could drink a glass of water together. Her best friend saw that and immediately pulled her back. Why did she want to miss such a good opportunity? The senior asked her if she wanted a drink, but she resolutely refused. Her close friend asked Lee Dam why she was so tense. When the senior found out her name was Lee Dam, he wanted to take the opportunity to close the distance, but she suddenly avoided him. The senior's face immediately became unhappy. Seeing this, his close friend immediately helped him overcome his shyness. The senior tried to put his hand behind his back, but Lee Dam reflexively avoided walking. The senior was extremely uncomfortable. Fortunately, at this time, a phone call came to him. Go. But there is a saying that what you can't have is the best. Now he just aiming at Lee Dam, but flowers fall intentionally and water flows unintentionally. He waited until after school to borrow money from Lee Dam to buy drinks, then come back, grabbed Lee Dam's phone and entered his phone number. He told Lee Dam to call him the next time he wanted something to drink. The promise to meet again a second time was so clear. He thought Lee Dam would like it very much. He was interested, but he didn't expect her to say she didn't like it. The senior, who had never been rejected since he was young, felt interested in Lee Dam. Lee Dam went home heartbroken and cried. She was healthy and lived for 18 years and suddenly got infected with a strange disease. She didn't even know if she would be able to see the sun again next year. The fox outside the door, after seeing it, couldn't help but remember the question of his fellow. He clearly knew how to get the jade fox out, but why didn't he take it out? Then the fox came to Lee Dam. He said, "I want to confirm something." Before Lee Dam could react, the fox grabbed it, Lee Dam's hand. Looking at the red fox and Lee Dam's body, he got the answer. So he told Lee Dam she could come back. She should think of it all as a dream. Then he held on tight, taking Lee Dam's face. He originally wanted to take the fox Jade back out of her body, but now he discovered that the fox Jade in her body had changed color. He immediately stopped taking out the fox Jade. But a human like Lee Dam's heart was shaking. The fox thought to himself that maybe the girl in front of him was the one he had been waiting for 600 years. This girl, who had lived 18 years in this life, was being teased for the first time. But to be exact, it wasn't a human, but a fox that had been alive for 900 years. But no one believed it when she said it, because it was her first time. So she had no experience, so she asked her best friend. She said she had a friend lived with a person of the opposite sex. But one day, that man suddenly kissed her, but the important moment stopped. They had only known each other for a week, but when she wanted to leave, the man, without saying anything, hugged her. So the problem was what kind of trick that man was playing. Her best friend insisted that it was an expression of love, not knowing that the man she was talking about was now in his mind also full of questions. As soon as his fox friend heard it, when he was about to take it out, the fox pearl turned blue, but quickly turned back to red. Why wasn't it the same as her at that time? The fox asked her. What was her situation at that time? She told him that her jade fox immediately changed color, because now she is a normal person, and now the fox cannot understand whether he wants to get the jade back or not. Her friend analyzed for him that perhaps this was his last chance. She did not know that at this time, the senior was also remembering Lee Dam. The senior wanted to borrow money last time to meet Lee Dam. Lee Dam directly replied that she was not free. The senior's stubbornness was raised to the peak. He asked her what she was busy with. Unexpectedly, Lee Dam replied that she was cleaning the toilet. She also asked him if he had any tips on how to unclog a toilet. The senior felt more and more that Lee Dam was a bit interesting. In fact, she was actually cleaning the toilet. She didn't want the fox to see her embarrassed face. At this time, her senior called to teach her. First, close the toilet tightly and flush. After seeing the bulge in the middle of the bag, apply more pressure, and indeed, she can hear the sound flushing bar. She excitedly picked up the phone to thank the senior. She also gave the senior a nickname, the Toilet Fairy. First, the senior thanked her for the nickname she gave him. Then, based on the name of thanks, he wanted Lee Dam to invite him to a meal. As soon as Lee Dam heard that, she immediately agreed. The truth proves that according to it's impossible to chase girls without some skill. At night, the fox began to please Lee Dam. He bought Lee Dam the pizza she liked the most. He even gently asked Lee Dam if she had enough to eat. If it wasn't enough, he would personally go into the kitchen to cook. Lee Dam was suddenly confused by his gentleness. At this moment, she couldn't help but remember his best friend's words. That man was definitely showing love. Although she immediately said that it was impossible, she still took the initiative to ask the fox a word of love. The fox choked and didn't know how to answer. Lee Dam continued to ask him like that last night. What do you mean? The fox explained that at first he really wanted to let go and let her go, but he thought that if he let her go, he would have to deal with everything alone and would be very confused. Lee Dam also understood after getting the answer, so it was considered a matter of passing, but she still hoped that in the future, he could control himself and not do ambiguous actions, as that would easily cause others to misunderstand. The fox immediately dissolved his shyness. He said he just wanted wanted to check to see if she was responsible for herself or not. Lee Dam secretly thought that people really don't understand the world of foxes. In fact, Fox is listening to his friend's words because the jade fox in her body changed color. This friend immediately told him to date with Lee Dam. The nine-tailed fox, who lived for 900 years, did not expect that he would be rejected, even more embarrassed about what he just said, because Lee Dam moving out to live alone made his younger brother a little suspicious about his sister's purpose for moving away, so he silently observed her, and indeed, the two of them had a new discovery. He heard his sister calling the other. The two analysts were probably professors. Now young people call them that. The fox was still care about the jade fox inside Lee Dam. Lee Dam also conveniently touched her belly and said that Jade Fox hadn't changed anything recently. Her close friend heard that and said she maybe be pregnant, so the two of them came to the conclusion that Lee Dam was pregnant, and it was right at this time the fox comforted Lee Dam because she had worked hard because of the jade fox. Lee Dam said it was okay. After all, it was about to go out. When heard this, her older sister confirmed that she was pregnant. He immediately got angry. Lee Dam, as soon as looked, she knew everything had been exposed. Then the younger brother started questioning the fox. "Do you love my sister?" The fox replied no, so at least get married. The fox also answered no. The young man, who has lived for 18 years, is the first time he has encountered this kind of scoundrel man, but his friend can't stand it anymore. He only sees this guy holding a stick and rushing to attack the fox. But the next second, just a glance from the fox of the two of them was stopped in the air. The girl was extremely surprised and scared, but the fox told her to rest assured he would take them home safely and erase their memories. Before Lee Dam could react, the two of them immediately disappeared. Lee Dam was extremely scared. One was her younger brother, the other was her best friend. She immediately took out her phone to call him, but was always in a state of turning off the phone. One moment she often saw her brother's bag still there, but the next second it also disappeared. Lee Dam hurriedly went home and saw her brother bringing the whole group of people to the house to play. Her younger brother also asked her what she was doing when she came home. Seeing that backpack had disappeared, actually returned home. Moreover, her younger brother knew absolutely nothing about what had just happened. So, Lee Dam immediately made an excuse to say she was going to get her things, then left immediately, not expecting her younger brother to tell her to quickly go after getting her things. As she left the house, Lee Dam couldn't help but admire how powerful this fox was, not knowing that at this moment, the fox was being mockingly by his friend, living 900 years. Even a girl can't handle it, because as fellow, she immediately showed him a few tricks. In the 21st century, we no longer rely on sweet words, but must relying on practical actions. Frankly speaking, having to do all her requests, he thought about what she was thinking and worrying about. But unexpectedly, when Lee Dam returned, she proactively said she had something to ask him. The fox thought to himself that his opportunity had come. But the next second, Lee Dam's offer of help caught him off guard. This senior is an extremely good stalker. He always appears in front of Lee Dam in a 12-hour day. He can appear in front of her at least 20 times, and the rest of the time he sends messages asking for a date. Lee Dam completely understands how thick-skinned this young man is, which makes her unable to help herself, thinking, it seemed like she was like this back then. She didn't know that the seniors only did that because they made a bet with their friends. This girl couldn't even do anything to the school's hot boy, just to prove that he was capable. Could have Lee Dam, they bet 100,000 won. Lee Dam couldn't stand the senior's thick skin. She started talking to the fox. She talked about her situation in a hoarse voice. The fox heard the purpose of Lee Dam was wanting to disappoint the seniors, and most of all, not wanting to get close to her anymore. The two of them started pretending to date, wanted to find out from here the side of Lee Dam that others hated the most. But this appearance made Lee Dam's mouth open wide. The next second, the fox started helping her analyze her clothes, wearing a t-shirt with a dog image last time. That outfit looked a bit out of trend, but it worked. Lee Dam said this was a good idea, then taught her how to eat extravagantly to make the other person bored hated her, and said that the last time he saw her eating black bean noodles with her mouth full, it was the type that made others hate her. The more Lee Dam listened, the more annoyed she became. But the unsubtle fox still spoke enthusiastically, and there was last time he heard her talk dirty to her friends on the phone. If she said that in front of the seniors, she could save half of her effort. After listening, Lee Dam felt that now she didn't need to try so hard. It's okay to be her every day. Just as they were about to leave, the senior called again. But as soon as she answered the phone, she realized that the other end was very noisy. 2 seconds later, the senior appeared behind her. The fox quickly pulled Lee Dam back. This made Lee Dam's heart pound inexplicably. Then she immediately kept her distance from the fox, but the fox's eyes never left the senior. Lee Dam, seeing that she immediately introduced for the fox. In any case, she couldn't introduce this person as a fox, so she could only introduce this person as someone she suddenly knew. But the senior didn't care. He even invited Lee Dam to go see a movie tomorrow. The The fox saw that and was not happy, but before leaving the senior even touched Lee Dam's head and then looked at the fox provocatively, so left. But Lee Dam is miserable. This senior is born in the year of the tiger. The fox gave him a look like it wanted to devour him. The date soon arrived, but the weather was not pleasing. After watching the movie, it started to rain. The senior wanted to continue showing off, but he realized that his younger brother took all the money in his wallet, so he shyly asked Lee Dam what to do. Lee Dam signaled to follow her. It would definitely take him home, but this made every ugly she did before by zero. There was a strange feeling in the senior's heart. This rich guy had never taken a bus. The first time he took a bus, after seeing the senior off, Lee Dam couldn't help but feel happy. Today she showed off all sorts of ugly things. Surely the seniors will hate her, but unexpectedly her ugly appearance in the eyes of the seniors turned into a cute one. The girl who lived 600 years ago came to school for the first time but forgot to wear her uniform, suddenly becoming the focus of everyone. But the first thing when she arrived at school was to make friends with Lee Dam. T-girl warmly greeted Lee Dam, but did not expect her harmony was that she was always staring at Lee Dam. So much so that the hair on Lee Dam's whole body wanted to stand up. She didn't expect that in the distance there was another person who was also staring at Lee Dam. That's why she was a fox living with her. When he heard his fox friend say she wanted to go to school, he agreed to help her arrange it. But as a cunning fox, of course, she knew the fox's thoughts. Today Lee Dam was dressed very picky. She said she had an appointment tonight, so she came home late, although on the outside she was indifferent. As soon as Lee Dam left, the fox's thoughts seemed to accompany her. But on the first day the fox girl came to school, the professor gave a practical experience, 2 people per team, and completed the love theme this weekend. After that, each person wrote a thesis report, but the group list was ready. The boy suddenly saw an unfamiliar name. Could it be a new friend? Only saw the fox girl happily greeting him. Then it was Lee Dam's turn. Unexpectedly, she was actually in the same group as the senior. She seemed to feel that the road to the underworld was not far. But when the senior saw that he was extremely happy, as expected, God helped her. But on the morning of the date, Lee Dam suddenly felt sick to her stomach. Suddenly, she opened the calendar on her phone and discovered that today she was due to menstruation. So she told the fox that she didn't have any strength today, so she went back to her room first. The fox asked her what happened, if she was sick. Lee Dam was too lazy to explain, so she went back to her room to rest. Then the fox read books all morning, but in fact he didn't turn any pages of the book. He didn't stop looking at the clock. He really couldn't hold back anymore and ran to her room. He asked her if she wanted to buy some medicine. Seeing weak reaction of Lee Dam, the fox worriedly asked her if she had a fever. Lee Dam looked at him. Due to menstruation, wouldn't be cured by taking medicine. The fox seemed to immediately understand. He said he'd go prepare warm water for her. Then he ran out of the room, and he had indeed prepared a table of delicious food for her. This tactic seemed to be effective. After eating, Lee Dam's stomach felt much better. There are many symptoms can be treated, but the root cause cannot be cured. But when she woke up, it was already morning. She thought to herself that the day of strawberry loss would not disappear immediately. She would have to wait a few days. Suddenly she thought about pulling her body that was in menstruation day and touching the person born in the year of the tiger. Then that day would definitely be her death anniversary. But today is on Sunday. There is no other way. The love course the professor assigned needs to be completed. The fox asked Lee Dam where she was going. She helplessly said she had to complete the love course with the senior born in the year of the tiger. Seeing Lee Dam's weak, fox suddenly couldn't bear to let her go. Then he called Lee Dam back. He said, "I have a way to help you without having to go out personally." Lee Dam asked him if that was okay. Only saw the fox transform into Lee Dam's appearance. He told Lee Dam to rest assured that he would date her instead. He told her to rest well at home, but didn't she know that the appearance can be fake, but the temperament is not? Fake Lee Dam also arrived at the meeting point as scheduled, but why did he keep seeing something strange? So like many other couples, the first thing on a date is eating, but a fox's habit is to always be courteous. This action makes the senior look more and more confused. Even though she looks gentle and beautiful, no matter how he look at it, it doesn't look right. The female fox is on a date, dating Jade. She was preparing to go to the movies to complete her course. Suddenly she saw Lee Dam and the senior at the cinema door. When Jade saw Lee Dam, he was extremely excited. Then he rushed towards Lee Dam as usual, but the female fox was not far away. As soon as she looked, she realized that it was not Lee Dam. This is the first time this happened to the fox that lived 900 years ago. The female fox next to her just stood there watching a good show. This was the first time the fox picked up Lee Dam after school. He was careful and didn't forget to spread the cushion for her in case she would get cold sitting on it. Everything was done and just waiting the main character. Very soon, someone knocked on his car door. The fox thought that Lee Dam had arrived, but did not expect that it was his friend. Without any politeness, she went straight in and sat down. She even used the towel he had prepared. Looking at the fox's expression, the fox girl also guessed that she was not the one he come to pick up. So she reminded the fox, if nine-tailed foxes like them are shaken, taken, they will never have a good death. If they ruin important events because of personal feelings, they won't have time to cry. Right now Lee Dam is not far away walking towards the car. The fox saw this and told her not to waste words and get out of the car. The female fox showed an agitated face and said she refused, but saw Lee Dam getting closer and closer. The female fox was still sitting in disguise. As soon as Lee Dam opened the door, there was no trace of the fox girl. At this time, the fox girl was still next to her makeup, and he took her to the hotel. But as soon as she turned around, she saw her outside, made her extremely embarrassed. She didn't expect the fox to do that to her. But when Lee Dam, with a radiant face, got into the fox's car, her best friend saw him, and her best friend Jade was also there, upset. Even if Lee Dam took the initiative to talk to him, he didn't care. He even said she had no morals. He told her everything, from the fact that she wasn't afraid of losing face, to the story of her friend's friend. Her ex-girlfriend also told her, but she didn't consider him a friend. He said half a sentence and then left. After that, he ignored her for several days. Lee Dam came home and really couldn't stand it anymore, was to call Jade. He said she would explain everything clearly once. Unexpectedly, her friend directly hung up on her. Lee Dam was angry and shouted so loudly that the fox outside was startled a little, and then he appeared in his original form. He took the opportunity to ask Lee Dam if the jade fox in her stomach was making her uncomfortable. When mentioning this issue, Lee Dam of course complained. She asked him to find a way to get the jade fox out. Looking at the fox without saying anything, Lee Dam asked why he hadn't found it yet. The fox replied, "Yes, I haven't found it yet." In fact, he was lying. Clearly there was a way, but he didn't say it. Right now, and Jaejin Hart was also very upset. At this moment, he heard the classmate next to him say that this time the senior had suffered a big loss, who asked him to brag. They also said that people like Lee Dam are easy to fool. Now he admitted defeat and voluntarily gave up 100,000 won. Hearing that Jae-jin couldn't bear it anymore, so he went to the senior and unceremoniously grabbed his shirt, then questioned if the senior had lured Lee Dam into a bet with others. The senior's answer clearly reflected, "So gave up. I wanted you not to tell Lee Dam." But Jae-jin said, "I won't tell Lee Dam. You don't want Lee Dam must be sad." But Lee Dam is not deaf after such a big movement. The senior really loves Lee Dam. He wants to keep Lee Dam. Lee Dam tells him to stop wasting his thoughts. Consider it a joke. The senior sincerely apologizes and hopes she won't be angry. At this moment, two close friends came to find her, their eyes full of hostility towards the senior, then pulled Lee Dam away. But this wave after wave. Recently, there have been a lot of news about people frequently disappearing. When they were found, their internal organs had been pulled out. The fox girl noticed something unusual, so she immediately called the fox to say that the recent cases were not caused by humans. The fox hung up the phone and had a bad feeling. The fox read a book at night and forgot to close the window curtains, only to see a cat outside was staring at him. But after Lee Dam returned, she did not have the habit of closing the curtain. She did not know that she was being targeted by the cat outside. Suddenly, the fox had a premonition. At this moment, the cat realized danger, so it immediately leaves. But as it goes on and on, it turns into a person. When the fox chased out, the mysterious person had disappeared. So he thought about what the female fox told him. The people who disappeared recently had their organs removed. It was very likely not done by humans. So the next day when Lee Dam went to school, the fox girl stuck to her and refused to separate. Even when going to class, the fox girl's eyes could not separate from Lee Dam. Lee Dam did not know that the fox girl drank the wrong medicine or not. Don't know if the female fox was asked for help by someone else. This fox, who lived for 600 years, opened his mouth for the first time thanks to her. The female fox secretly thought that there was also a time when an old man like him opened his mouth to ask for her help. So she reluctantly said that she would try her best to protect Lee Dam. But the dedication, she said, was a bit too much. She only saw a hand suddenly reaching towards Lee Dam. The fox girl looked at it and then held that hand. Jae-jin was in so much pain that she screamed in pain. Lee Dam felt more and more strange, but the even stranger thing was still behind. She went to the library alone to borrow books. As soon as she turned around, bumping into someone, the man took the initiative to pick up the book for her. But then the man said to be careful, but these 3 words made Lee Dam feel scared. Suddenly the fox called from behind. He asked what she was doing. Lee Dam just said that she bumped into someone. In the blink of an eye, that person had disappeared. She thought it wasn't important, so she didn't pay much attention. She didn't expect that they would meet again later. But when Lee Dam passed by a flower shop, she suddenly saw the girl inside. This couldn't help but remind her of a portrait she saw in a book of a fox. The fox also admitted that this was his first love. Even though it was an ex from 500 years ago, Lee Dam was still a little jealous. But now seeing someone exactly like the person in the painting, she felt a little worried. At that moment, the fox come. As soon as they saw someone inside, outside. Their eyes looked at each other with a spark of love. Lee Dam pulled his hand and said she wanted to go home, but the fox said she would go home first and he would immediately follow. But Lee Dam had just gone to the lake. The fox immediately went into the flower shop. As soon as he looked, he saw through it, daring to use this face to appear in front of him, unless she wanted to steal his jade fox. The girl did not pretend anymore. The flower on his hand immediately disappeared. Then this person said the sound passed through the air. Anyway, Jade Fox was not on him, then disappeared. Did the fox have a premonition? So the fox immediately teleported when to home. He nervously looked around and pulled Lee Dam back. Although he didn't say anything about the flower shop. He said his first love was in the past. Now he just wanted to protect her. This made Lee Dam feel much more secure. But she did not know that danger was approaching. The fox would pick her up every day, but because the exam was coming up, Lee Dam had to study a lot for the exam, looking for documents. But it seemed like someone was secretly targeting her in the dark. The fox in the car was not at ease and wanted to find Lee Dam. Suddenly, he received a phone call saying that before died, the captain said that seeing the murderer's face was an acquaintance. The fox looked into the car's windshield. Could it be that the murderer had the ability to transform like him? At this time, Lee Dam discovered that the fox had come to the library to look for her. She was extremely happy, asked him why he came here so urgently. He said he came to see how she was doing, then looked at Lee Dam's stomach. When he saw the red light, he smiled hungrily. Then he slowly touched her. Suddenly the books fell from the bookshelf. When Lee Dam turned back, the fox had disappeared. She did not know that the man just now was the evil spirit turned into a fox. Seizing this opportunity, how could the fox let it go? He squeezed the evil spirit's neck. In just a moment, the evil spirit disappeared before his eyes. But on the contrary, he was scared. Indeed, the mountain god who controls everything has appeared. This person reminded him and hoped that he would not be like her in the end, and hoped that he would consider this girl as the last line of defense to smoothly transform into a human. The next day, the fox invited Lee Dam to go on a trip. Lee Dam curiously said that when she mentioned traveling before, he always refused. Why did it change this time? The fox said he now thinks clearly. Lee Dam is very happy, not knowing that the fox had another purpose. On the way, the two of them took beautiful photos together. They also walked in the land of wishes. Lee Dam also began to wish for herself, no matter what he wished for, but soon she would cry very heartily. So the two of them walked until evening. This scene was not to mention especially romantic. Lee Dam suggested that they come here again next year. The fox was stunned for a few seconds. He said that he actually tricked her. From the beginning, he knew how to get the pearl out, but because he was selfish and wanting to become a human, he needed her essence to nourish the pearl. So he didn't take it out, but now he wants to end it all. After wakes up, she will lose all memory of this time. After saying that, he immediately walked in front of Lee Dam and took back his jade fox from her. Lee Dam also shed tears of heartache. After waking up, Lee Dam had indeed returned to her original life, but when she was on her way to school, a familiar figure suddenly flashed in her mind. Damn, why did he let her remember? After a while, she squatted on the ground and cried bitterly. At this time, the senior came curiously and asked her what was wrong. He was taking care and asking if she felt uncomfortable somewhere. He told her to sit next to her and rest. But the senior looked at Lee Dam's painful crying appearance, and at this moment, he felt a little happy because Lee Dam no longer rejected him like before. But the distance between the two people was so close. The fox girl passing by saw it. She was curious as to why Lee Dam was so close to the person born in the year of the tiger, so she only thought of one possibility. But at this moment, the fox's mind was filled with Shadow's photo of Lee Dam. At this time, the female fox came to ask if he had done something that made him regret it. The fox asked if she had seen Lee Dam. The female fox reminded him if he had decided to keep Jade Fox in her body to nourish, so he shouldn't have gotten emotionally entangled in the first place. Now that he's given up, he should find the next target because his time is almost over. But she's curious why he doesn't delete Lee Dam's memories. But the fox said he had erased the memories related to him. The fox girl began to suspect that his magic was weakened. Soon the blue sky suddenly started to rain. Lee Dam couldn't help but sigh. As expected, wherever she went, she had bad luck. At that moment, an umbrella appeared above her head. Turning around, she saw that it was a fox. So she didn't say anything walking out of the umbrella. The fox called her and said it was raining outside to take the umbrella. But Lee Dam replied why she had to hold a stranger's umbrella, a sentence from a stranger that made the fox's heart ache. But this was not the case. Is that the result he want? But he didn't expect the news to spread so quickly. Today there will be a new young professor coming. That person is a fox. Clearly he came here because of Lee Dam. But his aura attracted many female students. But only Lee Dam realized that it was definitely not good for him to come here. But Yu was afraid of what Yu would encounter. She also met him in the elevator, but she couldn't help but go into the elevator. The atmosphere in the elevator, very strange. At this time, the senior asked Lee Dam if she had chosen a date for the last time they had a dinner meet. The fox didn't say anything, but they heard everything. Before waiting for Lee Dam to answer, the senior asked if today was okay. At this moment, the elevator vibrated, and two people instinctively supported Lee Dam. Lee Dam looked at the fox fox and immediately pushed him away. On the contrary, she thanked the senior for helping her, which made the fox feel uneasy in heart. After getting out of the elevator, the senior took the opportunity to follow Lee Dam. But Lee Dam deliberately took him to a deserted place to tell him that the last text message about dinner was not sent by her. Suspected the senior was the same. Seeing that Lee Dam was in a bad mood that day, he wanted to send a text message to comfort her. But after thinking about it and not knowing how to send it, his phone was snatched away by his naughty sister. Then the younger sister discovered that her older brother was texting with a girl, 10, under the mischievousness of her younger sister. When the older brother snatched the phone back, he discovered that his younger sister had sent a text message to meet Lee Dam for dinner, also saying, "There is no difference between refusing 100 times and refusing 101 times." Indeed, when Lee Dam was eating, she saw a message from his senior, making his younger brother next to him unable to help but sigh. His older sister looked like this. There was still someone pursuing, so the younger brother grabbed the phone and started playing around. Seeing the answer he was willing to give, the younger brother felt extremely happy, proving that the other person was also quite willing. The senior on the other side was extremely excited. He wanted to reward this unreliable sister, but he didn't expect to be disappointed. From Lee Dam, he learned that she already had someone she liked. The senior's heart skipped a beat. They didn't know that this was heard by the fox outside the door. He secretly thought that she already had someone she liked. Next, when went to class, the seniors always looked at Lee Dam. He secretly thought about who the person she liked was, but in front of Lee's eyes, Dam is only close to Jin. Could it be that the person Lee Dam likes is Jin? That's no wonder it's not worthy of her. He should be much stronger than him. But the fox lectured on the podium, suddenly saw Lee Dam and Jin's happy appearance were also stunned. He also had the same thought as the senior that Lee Dam liked Jin. So the senior went home and showed Jin's photo to his sister and asked her who was more handsome between the two of them. After the younger sister saw it, she told Hedo, "Be honest, he was indeed much more handsome than this guy." Hearing that, the senior immediately smiled, and he immediately pulled out a bill of money, told her to go buy something delicious to eat. Then he looked smugly in the mirror and said that he was indeed very handsome. At this time, Lee Dam was drinking wine to calm his sorrows with Jin, but didn't expect Jin's health was so bad. Every time he had to let Lee Dam carry him home. Indeed, after the fall, Jin started running like crazy. He hit the car on the side of the road. Lee Dam just saw it and was dead. Someone's mirror was broken. Lee Dam immediately pulled him up to clean up the mess. Suddenly, the person in the car who got out was a female fox. Before Lee Dam could react, another person got out in the car, making Lee Dam didn't know what to say, so she quickly helped Jin up. Just as the fox wanted to go up to help, Lee Dam pushed him away and said she could do it herself. She also apologized to the fox girl for damaging the car. She would to pay them back. The next day, the school held a picnic where the female fox sat next to Lee Dam. This made Lee Dam think of the scene where the fox walked down from her car in the middle of the night. She said she didn't feel like anything was fake, but as soon as arrived, the senior was about to confess his love to Lee Dam. At this time, Jin came and interrupted. The senior asked him if he was a normal person. Why was he always around Lee Dam? Jin also hostile towards him. The two started arguing with each other. This scene was often seen by the female fox. She sympathized with the fox, and soon the fox received a photo of two men fighting. Looking at the eyes of Lee Dam, the fox decided to personally go to war. The man only looked at the girl's photo and then recited a spell on the photo. Indeed, the next second, the girl came to him, but unexpectedly the fox quickly walked towards her. Then he held her face tightly and kissed her. Lee Dam also instinctively responded. At this moment, his eyes suddenly changed color. Then the movements began to become rough. Lee Dam realized something was wrong and immediately wanted him to stop. Only then did the fox regain his reason. He looked at Lee Dam in front of him. Suddenly, he remembered what the fox girl had said when she was about to cultivate into human form. The thing craved the most was essence, and that feeling was not love, but a feeling of hunger. Then he found the fox girl. He wanted to know how to control it. The fox girl told him this was very simple. Just don't make contact. The fox was speechless. It wasn't easy for him to make her come back with him. Less than a day had passed before this situation happened again. When Lee Dam came home, she was still blushing, thinking about the fox's kiss, feeling extremely excited. The next day, the fox suddenly felt dizzy. His vision was blurry. He didn't know what was wrong with him, so he lay down to rest for a bit. When Lee Dam came to class, she found out that the professor wasn't feeling well today, so he had to take a break. Lee Dam was worried and immediately went to look for the fox, and the fox's face was extremely pale. Lee Dam worriedly went over to check. While dreaming, the fox heard someone calling her name. He slowly looked at Lee Dam. At this moment, Lee Dam's eyes were captivating and touching. Suddenly, she had an unbearable urge. He pulled her back. Just as he was slowly approaching, he immediately regained consciousness. Then, he deliberately avoided Lee Dam and told her to go out first. Female fox sensed and immediately pulled Lee Dam out. Lee Dam said straight to the point, I know you are also a fox, but you just wanted to know what was wrong with the fox. But the fox girl told that even if she explained, humans like she wouldn't understand it. But one thing was certain, she didn't understand what species they were. As soon as Lee Dam passed by, the senior asked her if she was healthy. This guy haven't seen her in a few days. Why did she lose so much weight? But Lee Dam didn't feel strange, so she went back to weigh herself. After seeing the number, she was startled. Why did she lost 10 kilograms? So she thought that perhaps she was being sucked out of her essence. She remembered the fox calling, and he saying that it was best for the two of them to keep a distance during this time. At that time, she felt a little understood, but the fox told her that after getting back the Jade fox essence, it was not enough. But if she was next to her, he would instinctively suck away her essence. She would be in danger. Thinking of this, she immediately called the fox, said he was right. They really needed to keep their distance, at least until a solution was found. Even though the fox was extremely sad to hear that he said he understood. The next day when he went to school, Lee Dam suddenly realizing there was someone behind her. A man was staring at her, then pulled out a lipstick saying she dropped. After Lee Dam took it, she curiously asked how he knew it was her. But the man answered her that because he was always watching her. This strange atmosphere made Lee Dam even more surprised, but the man was watching not only her, but also the fox, was also targeted. At this time the fox also felt the dangerous aura. The man just lightly waved a red thread, connecting the two people together, then turned around and said to the fox, "This is what that humans call fate." The fox immediately got angry and said that this had angered them. They also know how to bite people like dogs, but as mountain gods who govern human marriages, they don't care at all. This person immediately disappeared in front of him, but he didn't expect this fate to be so miraculous. The senior suddenly had his card confiscated by his father. He had to find the milk tea shop owner who could help him a little. It was clear that the uncle did not want to lend a helping hand. Suddenly, the uncle saw the customer looking at the handsome senior without blinking, so he immediately put on the uniform for the senior and asked him if he wanted money, which was fine. First of all, to help him with his work. Just learned that he was recruiting employees. How could a senior who had been pampered since childhood agree? Suddenly he pulled the red string on hand out. It was Lee Dam who came to apply. The senior with a serious face told him that he must accept her as a job. The uncle, as an experienced person, immediately understood, but at this moment the fox was looking worried. That red thread wouldn't really work, right? The female fox analyzed for him. The legend that men and women are bound by red string. No matter what happens, they will be destined for love. She asked him why he was care about red string. The fox said he was only interested in cutting daughter. In the evening, when the whole class went out to eat together, the senior concernedly told Lee Dam to drink less. This caused the girl next door to misunderstand that the two of them were dating. But Lee Dam kept saying that I had a boyfriend. The senior heart felt like he was suffocated, so he started drinking to forget his sadness. Even though he drank until his head hurt like hell when he saw Lee Dam wanted to leave, he still wanted to care for her. But right now his head hurt, and unable to bear it, Lee Dam told him to take care of himself. But just as he was about to leave, a red thread made Lee Dam stop. She didn't know why she suddenly returned to taking care of the senior. She asked him if he want her to help him call a taxi, but the senior instinctively fell on her. Lee Dam's heart rate suddenly slowed down a beat, but this scene was seen by a fox not far away, followed by Lee Dam called a car to help the senior. But the senior took the opportunity to pull Lee Dam's hand back, but was pulled away by the fox. The fox even kindly helped him close the door, meaning he could get out. Look, the red thread on Lee Dam's hand. The more the fox looked at it, the more worried he became. Lee Dam could also see what the fox was thinking. She explained that it was just that the senior drank too much. She told him not to worry. The fox told her to rest assured that he was not the narrow-minded type of person. The next day, Lee Dam went into work mode. At this time, the fox called to ask if she was tired. Once she finished work, he would come pick her up. But Lee Dam, looking at the senior, who had become her colleague, quickly said she could go home on her own. But at this moment, the senior spilled his drink. Lee Dam saw that and immediately hung up the phone. But when she hung up the phone, she asked the senior, "It's okay." This sentence was heard by the fox. Very quickly, when the two of them finished work, the senior called Lee Dam and asked if she needed to be taken home. Lee Dam said no need, but the senior made an excuse that he also had something about work that he wanted to ask her. Lee Dam said so as she walked away. This scene of the two people was seen by a fox in the distance, making his heart even more uncomfortable. At night, the fox wanted to ask Lee Dam about work when suddenly the power went out in the house. At this time, Lee Dam just wanted to take a step forward but accidentally tripped and fell, accidentally touching the fox. At this time, the pearl suddenly jumped out and then flew into her mouth. The fox was immediately surprised and didn't know what to do. Lee Dam thought to herself that Jade Fox had swallowed it, so what else could she do? The fox told her to close her eyes. This is an excuse to get back the lost pearl. In the process of getting the pearl back, the distance between the two of them became closer again, so the two opened their hearts. Lee Dam said that a coincidence of fate made she work at the same place as the senior, and the fox also told Lee Dam Dam that the mountain god had tied the red thread between her and the senior, but now she could see the red thread, so she wanted to pull it out but couldn't. She was wanted to rush to find scissors but was not careful and missed a step and then fell hard to the ground. The fox just walked by and saw Lee Dam injured, so he immediately rushed up to help her. Suddenly he froze, then a man appeared and told her that if she played with the fate assigned to her, don't you know the consequences would be very serious? Lee Dam asked if her future was already predetermined. The mountain god said he could not predict everything in the future, but he could let her see what happened in the future. Then Lee Dam closed her eyes and saw all the sweet scenes of herself and the senior. At this moment, the fox began to use his strength to escape from the freeze. Then he helped Lee Dam up. The mountain god told him to rest assured that he was just letting her dream. The mountain god reminded the fox that he was just an animal and had no right to choose his own fate. In the evening, the fox showed a shy face and clung to Lee Dam. He said he was very scared that someone else would steal her. Lee Dam told him to rest assured because he was thinking too much, not knowing that the fox held the red thread between her and the senior. But this hateful red string does have some magical power. The next day when Lee Dam finished school, she saw the fox waiting for her. She excitedly ran forward when suddenly she was tripped by a red string. At this time, the senior often passed by and caught her. As soon as Lee Dam saw it, the senior immediately instinctively dodged away. She knew it must be the effect of the red string. The senior wanted to take her to the dinner party, but Lee Dam said she was in someone else's car. When asked whose car she was in, the fox came over and said she was in my car. But the senior was curious why Lee Dam was in the professor's car. The fox didn't know how to explain. Lee Dam immediately broke the deadlock and then publicly said they were dating, but the senior said it was okay to date anyone but not this man. Lee Dam didn't understand. What do the senior mean? Before the senior finished speaking, the fox pulled Lee Dam's hand away. The more Lee Dam thought about it in class, the more wrong she felt. At this moment, the teacher came out of the fox's office, and the fox was looking at her with his face was blooming. Suddenly, he discovered Lee Dam was standing behind him, watching him. He suddenly started to feel embarrassed, and even pushed the teacher's hand away. Then he did something unbelievable to the teacher. Lee Dam suddenly discovered that her boyfriend's eyes had changed color. Then the teacher, in front of the fox, left, as if possessed by an evil spirit. Lee Dam saw that the hair on her whole body stood up, knowing that her boyfriend was not human, but she did not expect him to do such a thing. The fox who wanted to explain to her was pushed away by Lee Dam. She despised him because want to have essence, so he harmed others. He made her extremely disappointed, but the photo of the fox being intimate with the teacher was spread everywhere. After the female fox saw it, she immediately knew the fox's purpose. Just then, she saw Lee Dam's depressed appearance. She also guessed some of it. She didn't want to take care of many things, but still called Lee Dam over. She used the excuse to invite Lee Dam to eat, and then took her away. While eating, she started talking about helping the fox. This is not to blame him. He's a fox who has been practicing for hundreds of years. It's very easy to do something that God or ghost doesn't know, and he won't tell Lee Dam that Jade Fox will suck all her essence, but he didn't. But this time, his jade started to turn green. Lee Dam was curious why it turned green. The fox girl was surprised and said that the red beads absorb human essence and transform to green. Then they will turn into humans, don't you know? But since the fox met and got to know Lee Dam, his jade started to change color, only half green. That's the reason why this time the fox made such a mess. Hearing that the fox had the ability to turn into a human, she immediately said she had something important to do, and the important thing she said was to find the fox. He said he was wrong. He didn't care about her feelings. He said he wouldn't do anything impulsive anymore. But Lee Dam pulled his hand. She cooed and told him to give her the pearl to raise, but the fox immediately refused. He said he didn't want to see her essence hurt. Did you look down on my essence? But the fox told her to calm down and not get excited. Unexpectedly, Lee Dam immediately jumped up and hugged the fox's face, wanting to suck Jade's. Had no choice but to run away. As soon as the fox arrived at office, Lee Dam hugged a tree and waited for the rabbit. The fox only had unable to use the vanishing technique again. The fox used the vanishing technique several times and suddenly felt exhausted. At this time, the female fox passed by and saw her fellow fox. She couldn't help but care for him, not knowing it that the fox's great tribulation was approaching. To help the fox quickly cultivate into a human, the fox girl came to Lee Dam. She asked Lee Dam if he wanted to make the fox obediently listen. Lee Dam was curious and didn't know how to do that. The fox girl gave her a sentence. She must also become a fox. A fox's strong point is setting traps, so she went to Jade and asked him to cooperate in creating a trap. Not it's a play, he said, to help him see if the fox girl had anything in mind for him. When talking about the fox girl, Jade immediately softened his heart, so the two of them cooperated and said what they did was what they did. The two of them tried their best to show their affection in front of everyone. Indeed, the fox felt uncomfortable when she saw them. When the female fox came and saw their intimate appearance, she couldn't help but feel, will their friendship cross the line? On the way the fox girl was thinking about this issue, she never expected that the trick she taught Lee Dam would be used on herself, so she reassured herself herself. She would not pay attention to the small things of people, not knowing how uncomfortable it was when she saw the two of them being intimate. In the evening, Lee Dam saw the pink silk in her hand being pulled straight, so she picked up the knife in the trash can and then cut a line down. A strange scene happened. In the moment she was taken into a time and space, the man said she was brave and dared to use this method to call him out. Lee Dam was not afraid. She said she had the one she loved. She asked him if he had too much free time, but the mountain god told her this was for the fox's good. She wasn't curious why his jade was only half green. The mountain god approached, said that what makes jade turn blue is not essence but human nature. He let her be bound by the red string so that she can experience and learn for herself what suffering is called happiness. Frankly, is cultivating to overcome hardships. If all of these things are filled, then he will automatically become a human. Before Lee Dam could finish speaking, she was pulled back to reality. But she finally understood that what the fox lacked was humanity, so she risked her life to supplement her knowledge, find documents, learn the scope of human nature. So that evening she told the fox that she was now found a way to turn jade green. The fox reminded her if she had to make her supply of essence, she should go home to take a shower and go to sleep. Lee Dam told him to rest assured. Next, he just needed to cooperate with her. The next day, when the fox was driving Lee Dam, suddenly the car behind him sped up. He immediately stepped on the brake. Then he immediately asked with concern if Lee Dam was okay. Lee Dam immediately criticized him. Didn't say that he was not allowed to swear. The fox said he would slowly fix it. Lee Dam walked away thinking about how to change his personality. Suddenly, the fox appeared. Lee Dam shyly said, "See you at home later." What does it mean to see you at home? The fox secretly thought it was over. It turned out she had made an appointment to meet the professor to find information for her thesis at home. Her best friend had just heard that, immediately excitedly said they could go together. Lee Dam saw that and immediately said, of course, the professor was very welcome. The fox couldn't say anything anymore. Very soon, the group arrived at the fox house. Lee Dam pretended to thank the professor for inviting them to the house. Then she went straight to the study room, but Jia Jin was wondering where Lee Dam was going. Lee Dam immediately reacted and knew she was careless, so she immediately said that normal people's study rooms were all over there. She also asked the fox if her guess was correct. The fox said that her judgment was very good. Lee Dam's actions directly surprised the fox. Seeing that they were about to finish finding the documents, the fox looked happy. He said that everyone who found the documents was okay. The best friend sincerely thanked the professor, but the fox said that if there was nothing else to do, they would disperse. Lee Dam just heard that this trait was not okay, so she thought of a way to say rare. They went to the professor's house to play. How about staying and having a party? But she didn't expect that this method would fail. During the conversation, they talked about Lee Dam's secret boyfriend. Nothing good. Lee Dam unconsciously looked towards the fox. Her ignorant best friend was still continuing to scold her and say that the last time she broke up and cried bitterly, he didn't care about her. No wonder she scolded him for being a cunning fox with no humanity. At this moment, the fox listened and became more and more angry like boiling water. The fox was trying to suppress it, but they were still talking. Suddenly, the hot pot exploded and immediately knew who did it. The man put bag on one side, then grabbed his girlfriend's hand, then scanned the surroundings. After confirming that there was no one, he got into someone else's car. The two of them did something. The fox was asked and didn't know how to answer. The female fox laughed mockingly. It's understandable that he lived 999 years old and his eyes were blurred. She could understand this. Saying this made him feel embarrassed in front of Lee Dam, so he protested with the strength he was now moving. It wasn't a problem for her to get out in the middle of the road. Seeing that the fox couldn't control his temper, Lee Dam immediately changed the subject and said to hurry home. At this point, the fox wouldn't be calculating with the fox girl. The two people disappeared again. They teleported home smoothly. Lee Dam wondered about the recent failure. The fox said it was probably because he was tired. Lee Dam didn't think much, but as soon as Lee Dam left the fox, he began to doubt himself. Logically speaking, it was impossible, so he held out his hand, and the books on the shelf immediately flew to his hand. There was no problem with magic. Next, he started trying again with the flower pot, but the flower pot only moved a little and then stayed the same. Next, he tried again. The female fox heard him calling and immediately came to him. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, making the female fox was very surprised. She learned from the fox that his jade had turned 2/3 green. The fox girl immediately thought that at that time when she used the magic to teleport to Paris, when she returned, she discovered she could no longer use magic. But when she was arrested for illegally entering the country, her magic recovered normally, and when she returned a few days later, she transformed into a human, thus his current situation. It's completely the episode about turning into a human, as if the next second, the fox will turn into a human. At night, the fox couldn't control his joy. He wanted to tell this good news to Lee Dam. Lee Dam asked him, what is a good thing? Before he finished speaking, he saw himself in the glass. His hands became transparent. His heart was suddenly poured with a bucket of cold water. Maybe he was near the end. Lee Dam thought that what he said was that he was about to turn into a human. She excitedly hugged the fox, but the fox didn't say anything. At night, the fox started to feel unusual. He said maybe he was about to turn into a human, so he was a little afraid of the cold. Then he crawled straight into Lee Dam's bed. He even pretended to wait for her to sleep with her. Lee Dam knew he was playing tricks again. Before she could finish preparing, he pulled her into his arms. The next day, the fox asked her to skip school today and go out to play. Lee Dam said it suited her very well. The two of them took beautiful photos together. Then, they played all the games that a couple should play. But right when the two of them were walking around the lantern house, Lee Dam accidentally fell down. The fox wanted to pull her back, but suddenly he appeared on the main road. He looked at his hand, which had turned transparent. Then he looked at his jade fox. It was broken. He knew he didn't have much time left. Lee Dam was still wondering where the fox ran to. Suddenly someone hugged her. Lee Dam turned around, saying that it was a fox. She angrily asked him why he suddenly disappeared. This joke was not funny at all. The fall caused her a lot of pain, but the fox still did not tell her the truth. But at this moment her mother Lee Dam said he would return in a few days. Lee Dam had to go home to stay for a few days. The moment Lee Dam let go, the fox's heart felt like it was hollowed out. He didn't know if he would be able to see Lee Dam again. So he found the fox girl. First, he thanked her for always thinking of him. Even though nearly 1,000 years had passed, but he still hadn't become a human, he sincerely thanked the fox girl for her help. The independent fox girl immediately stopped him from talking anymore. She didn't want to hear goodbye like that. And this time, the fox wanted to ask her one last favor, and only she could do this. After returning, the weak fox sat on the ground. He cried helplessly. He wasn't afraid of disappearing, but because he couldn't bear to leave Lee Dam. This was the saddest time he had cried in over 900 years past. But now the more Lee Dam thought about it, the more she realized something was wrong. Suddenly, she saw the photo taken with the fox on the table. It was gradually disappearing. Now she felt something was wrong. But now the fox was preparing to write a will. Lee Dam called the fox while frantically running to his house. She asked the fox what else was there at the end of the road. The fox knew he couldn't hide it anymore, but Lee Dam was worried. She didn't pay attention to the car rushing towards her. When she discovered that her whole body was stunned, the fox also sensed that Lee Dam was in danger. At this moment, she was hit by someone. Then she was pushed it aside. When she raised her head to look, she saw the fox lying on the ground, being hit by a car. At this time, the fox silently looked at Lee Dam, but he didn't have any strength. He could only fall with hopeless tears. Lee Dam ran quickly to the fox's side, but he still closed his eyes without any strength. In the moment, his body began to disappear. Lee Dam ran to touch the remaining warmth, she crying bitterly. Looking at the fox's unfinished will, she had many mixed emotions in her heart. She looked at the photo of the two of them together on her phone. She suddenly realized something was wrong. The image of him in the photo that had disappeared was now clearly visible. Could it be that the fox still existed in this world? She was sure that the fox would definitely return, so she decided to stay at the fox house waiting for him. Just like that, day after day passes. It seems like the fox is only on business, but from season to season, he still haven't appeared. One day, a female fox came to look for Lee Dam. She said that she had received a mandate from the fox. It turned out that the fox knew he was about to disappear, so she asked her that if she saw Lee Dam suffering, she would use the Jade fox, erased Lee Dam's memories. He hoped she could forget everything about him and live for her life. Seeing the fox girl take out the Jade, Lee Dam said that even if she was sad for the rest of her life, she would not wanted to erase the memories. Right now, the fox was in another time and space. He seemed to hear Lee Dam crying. He also kept shedding tears. But one day, when Lee Dam woke up, there was someone behind quietly looking at her. Was Lee Dam doing well? The fox girl in the distance suddenly had a premonition. At this moment, Lee Dam was choking and sobbing, speechless. Even the fox girl was so excited that she wanted to cry. But then, they still couldn't help but cry loudly. The two of them had been waiting for this moment for so long. After so many hardships, they both wore black. Then the two of them clasped 10 fingers together, but they didn't expect there to be so many people also lined up. Lee Dam told him to quickly cast a spell to get past the group of people to get the certificate. The fox reminded her that now that he was human, he couldn't perform magic anymore. Then he told her not to criticize him. Lee Dam told him to rest assured that even if she criticized him, her mother would not criticize him. It turned out that the last time her mother returned home through Lee Dam's delivery address to meet the fox, the two of them seemed to be caught. She was extremely embarrassed. Her mother was a gangster, so she wanted to lie, but couldn't. Lee Dam could only ask the fox to cast a spell to erase her mother's memories. The fox still obediently listened to Lee Dam's words. Then his eyes began to change color. He wanted to erase the memory just now, but unexpectedly her mother's will was so determined and not affected at all. He did not unexpectedly encountering such a stiff person. Lee Dam also discovered that her mother had not changed. The fox shook his head and said it was useless. The mother asked again if they they lived together, the fox saw that he could no longer hide it, so he proactively admitted that Lee Dam did indeed live at his house. But nothing had happened that made her worry, nor would it happen in the future. Lee Dam immediately felt inexplicably disappointed, but she didn't expect her mother to be so generous. Not only did she not get angry, but she also praised them for being so honest, which made her very satisfied. When Lee Dam sent her mother away, her mother whispered a word, hoping she could try her best strength, and she was very pleased with this son-in-law. Lee Dam asked if the fox wanted to go greet his mother-in-law. Now, the fox said he wanted to go home to do important work. The two of them finally overcame the difficulties and has a perfect ending. This is the end of the movie. If you find it good, please give us a like so we can be motivated to make better videos.